Tennessee should try to rehire Lane Kiffin. The Butch Jones era at Tennessee has ended, mercifully, but not before the Volunteers allowed 50 points in Saturday's loss to Missouri. As you may have heard, Tennessee is currently on a losing streak against each member of the Southeastern Conference. That's something. It's time for a change, but not too drastic a change. When it comes to selecting Jones' successor, the program should look to the recent past. Tennessee's best hope is to rehire Lane Kiffin, who famously, or infamously, spent one season with the Volunteers before heading back to the West Coast as the head coach at Southern California. This week's list makes the case for Kiffin. Here are 10 reasons why Tennessee should turn back the clock and hire the current Florida Atlantic head coach, and almost everyone else is. Kiffin hasn't been afraid to poke at Nick Saban and Alabama on his Twitter account, the greatest Twitter account in the United States, and wouldn't be intimidated by the Crimson Tide, which would stand in direct contrast to his two successors at Tennessee. This is an important distinction and a meaningful plus in his corner. Kiffin would go toe-to-toe with the greatest program in the country and not flinch. You can't say that Utah couldn't use that sort of confidence. 1 to 130 re-rank, Miami. Auburn surge up rankings after big wins. Misery index. Georgia gets exposed by Auburn. Schroeder column. Oklahoma shows look of title contender. Florida Atlantic ranks in the top 25 nationally in yards per game and scoring, and is doing so despite being in just its first year in Kiffin's system. It's the latest example of his prowess as an offensive technician, which came under some question during that failed stint at USC, but seems to have benefited from those 2 seasons as the Tide's offensive coordinator. This has never been in question. On a short timeline, he was hired in late November, with signing day in early February. Kiffin inked a top 10 class at Tennessee in 2009. Even if not inked by Kiffin, who had already left for USC, the ensuing class likewise ranked among the best in the second of Football Bowl subdivision. Despite limited scholarship numbers, each of Kiffin's full recruiting classes at USC ranked comfortably among the nation's best. As the head coach goes, so goes the program. Jones was ill-equipped to handle the day-to-day rigors at Tennessee. The Volunteers followed suit. So it makes sense that, if you had a coach with no shortage of confidence, that's one way to describe Kiffin. I'd say the team will carry the same sense of confidence and self-assurance into every Saturday. Tennessee could use that shot in the arm. There's no doubt that Kiffin would hire a strong group of assistants, especially when given the university's commitment to allocating the funds needed to amass a staff capable of reversing the program's swoon. This can be seen in the staff Kiffin put together at FAU, which is very solid for the group of 5, even if somewhat questionable. Hiring Kendall Briles wouldn't fly at Tennessee, for example. This is obvious. Jonathan Crompton tossed 27 touchdowns during Kiffin's single season at Tennessee, a total the program has surpassed just once in the 8 years since. Kiffin then helped mold former USC quarterback Matt Barkley into one of the most prolific passers in Pac-12 history. While his FAU offense is predicated more on the running game, the Owls' quarterbacks are completing 62.4% of their attempts with just 6 interceptions in 258 attempts. Tennessee needs to revamp its entire offense. That's one asset in Kiffin's corner. In the grander sense, however, leaning toward offense with this next hire would help the Volunteers separate themselves from the majority of the SEC East Division, which in recent years has gone with defense-first head coaches. Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp, Mark Stoops, Barry Odom and Derek Mason come from defensive backgrounds. Tennessee has become stale, to put it lightly. The program is no longer feared by any opponent in the SEC, let alone across the entire FBS. Kiffin wouldn't change that latter fact. The Volunteers would need to start winning games to get that respect, but he would help shift the narrative surrounding the program, breathing some life into a tired and moribund program at just the right time. The very idea that John Gruden is a realistic candidate to be the next head coach is laughable. It's fun to consider, but come on, Gruden isn't leaving a lucrative gig working 2 handfuls of Monday nights every fall to grind away in a college job. Sorry, but don't delude yourself. And Tennessee should also face the fact that opening its position just as Florida does the same.